Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how you can display a canvas or draw a canvas on live camera preview in Expo React Native for Android using Camera X and Media 3 effect. So let's get started. So first let me show you guys the output. Now I'm using Android Studio to mirror the output, to mirror my device so that I can show you guys the output very easily. So let's first see the output. So first I'll give the camera permission, and here you can see our live camera preview, and at the very center I have drawn a square, with green color square, and if I want I can just move my camera. The square is still there, and I can just click on this capture button. It will capture the image for us and display it inside an image view. So we won't be using Android Studio, but you would require Android Studio to be installed because we will be writing some native code. So let's see how to do this. I'm not using any third-party library for this. Like I said, we will be writing native code. So first you need to go to this particular link to install or to create a Expo React Native application. So I'll just quickly run this. So quickly open this. So you need to run this particular command: npx x create expo app @latest / template blank -typescript. So this will help us to create a blank TypeScript Expo project with very less boilerplate code. So that's the advantage of it. You can use some other templates as well. So here you can see you have this default blank TypeScript which we already using tabs and bare minimum. I like this blank TypeScript because it has very less boilerplate code. So once you create a project, you will cd into the project. Okay, then I'll just open this particular URL as well. So you need to set up some you need to do some setup because we will be writing some native code. We are not using Expo Go for this. So first here inside in this particular thing you have to select Android device, and here you will have to select development build and select your own operating system. I am on Mac OS. So I have already installed Watchman. I have already installed this Cas Zulu as well. I have already done this Java home setup as well. Then for Mac OS I have already installed Android Studio. I have already done all the setup. So again I'll simply scroll through this. I have already done all this. I have already done this as well. Then you need to cd to your Expo application and run this command. I have already ran this command, so make sure you run this command as well. Once you do that, you need to run this particular command: npx expo run : android. So this will create the Android folder for us. As let me quickly show it to you. So here you can see this is the Android folder which has been created. Let me quickly turn off or close Android Studio because it is consuming a lot of RAM on my device. Let me quickly close it. Okay, because it was consuming a lot of RAM on my device, that's why I have closed it. So it will create an Android folder for you, and it will also ask you to run it on your Android device or simulator. So firstly you will have to run this output on a real device. It will not work on the emulator. And secondly, do not run it right now. Like you can just press Ctrl C or Ctrl C to quit it, because we will be writing native code, so you'll have to run again from the start. So it's better you run at the very bottom, at the very end. Okay, and we don't need to run this particular command because we are not doing it for iOS. We are only concentrating on Android. Then you need to create an Expo module. So for that you can go to this particular URL over here. I'll quickly open that as well. So here you can see this tells how to create an existing module. So you need to run this particular command, and it will ask you some questions like what should be the module name and two other questions. So you just have to press enter, and it will create the module for you. And here you can see it has created one module for me, so I have already created it. So yeah, that's all there is to it. Now let's see what code we need to write. So first you need to go to modules, my module, and here go to src mymodule.type.ts, and here you can see I have made few changes. So firstly, we don't require any prop. We are not sending any prop, so I have commented this one out. And instead of this on load event, we have this on image taken event. So once the user clicks on the capture button, we are sending the URL of the captured image from native Android side to React Native side. So that's the only change which I have done. Okay, and here you can see this on event payload has this URL of type string. Now this URL is different from this particular URL. This URL is a prop and this is a return type, so don't get confused. Then you need to go to the main Android folder over here. Go to app src main android manifest.xml, and here you need to add this uses feature of Android hardware camera as well as camera permission. Once you do that, you need to go to modules, my module, go to Android folder, go to build.gradle, and here inside the dependencies block you need to add this Android X camera core, camera 2, camera lifecycle, camera view, then this camera effects as well as Android X app compat dependencies. Once you add all of that, go to src, go to Java, and firstly go to my module.kt, and here you have to make few changes. So inside this view, my module view, by default you have this prop, right? So I've commented that out because we are not passing any prop, and instead of this on load event we have this on image taken, so that's what I have written over here. So I've commented out this part as well. Then you need to go to my module view.kt. So by default there will be some code present related to web view inside my module view.kt. You will have to just delete that particular code. Next you have to copy all this import. So I'll simply scroll through this imports. There is nothing really here to explain about the imports. Okay, I'll just minimize this as well. So here is our class my module view, here is our event dispatcher, here we get hold of our activity, then here is our frame layout, here is our camera, here is the preview view, here is our image capture, here we initialize our button, here we initialize the preview view, here is our camera executor service, here is our process camera provider, then here is this middle box effect which will help us to display the canvas, and here is the paint which will help us to paint the canvas. Here we get the back facing lens. Then inside the init method we set the layout params, we add it to our parent view. Then here we set the layout params for our viewfinder as well. Viewfinder is basically the camera preview view, and here we call this particular method. I'll talk more about this, why we are doing this. Then here inside the capture button, for the capture button we set the text background color, text color, as well as the alpha property. Then we set the frame layout or the layout params for our button as well, and we add the capture button to our frame layout. Then we add a click listener for our button called take photo. Then inside on attached to window, if the user has camera permission, then we just do viewfinder.post setup camera, and on detached from window we just shut down our camera executor as well as unbind our camera provider. Then here, like I told you, this is a basically a hack which we need to write. If you don't write this, you won't see your live camera preview, and instead you would just see a black screen. If you want to learn more about this, you can just go to this particular URL over here. Then here we have setup camera, where we get our camera provider feature, we add a listener as well, and here we get a camera provider, we bind to the camera use case. Then we get the rotation, we initialize our camera provider, we initialize camera selector, here is the aspect ratio strategy, here is our resolution selector, then we initialize the preview view, then we initialize our image capture as well. Then here we do middle box effect dot set on draw listener, we draw on our canvas over here. Then we get the width and height, then we calculate the center of the frame. Then here is the size of our rectangle, and here we draw a rectangle and draw it over the canvas. And here we just do use case group dot builder, add our preview use case, image capture as well as middle box effect. Then we unbind our camera provider, we bind it to the life cycle over here, we set it to our camera object, and finally we set our surface provider as well. Now to take the photo, we first check whether image capture is not equal to null. Then we get this simple date format. Then we do content values dot apply, passing the display name, MIME type, and if Android version greater than P, we also set the relative path. Then here we do image capture dot output file options. Then we do image capture dot take picture, and here we override the on image saved method, and whatever is the URI of the captured image, we send it back to React Native side with the help of this particular thing. Then we unbind our camera provider. This is just a helper method just to check whether we have camera permissions or not, and these are just variables which has been defined in companion object, like kind of like static variables. Then all you need to do is you just need to go to app.tsx over here, and here you just need to write this particular. So these are all the imports. So firstly you can just copy paste all these imports. Okay, then here we have one state for our image URL, one state for camera permission, and here we just check whether the user is using Android 10 or higher or not. And here we have defined a method, because if a user is using Android 10, we don't require write external storage permission, because if you see the Android manifest.xml, this write external storage permission was present by default when we created an Expo project. I have not added it by myself. I have only added this to uses feature as well as camera permission. So if the user is using Android 10 or higher, and then we can just request camera permission, else we have to request camera as well as write external storage permission. And here I'm just checking which permission has been granted. So if Android 10 or higher and if camera permission is granted, then just change the state. else for and below Android 10, then we checked both camera permission as well as write external storage permission. And then is finally inside use effect we just call this request camera and storage permission, and here we just do image URI is not equal to empty, then we set display the image inside the image element. Else if the camera permission is granted, we display the live camera preview with the capture button with the help of this my module view. Else we just display a text saying camera permission not granted. And finally we display the styles using this particular style sheet dot create by passing the container as well as camera view. So yeah, that's all there is to it. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye.